Hello and welcome to this week's Torah. In this week's Seder, Parshas Mishpatim, we read about many of the civil laws that the Torah gives us right after giving us the Ten Commandments. One of those laws, the Torah says, Lo sieh acharei rabim l'rois. You shouldn't follow the majority to do something wrong. There are civil implications to this, but I'd like to give you another implication to this, another thing that we can take for ourselves, even though we are not judges per se. I remember when I was a child, we had a certain teacher. This teacher was a very clever individual. He was a professor in a university, but however, he was not capable of teaching a bunch of 10-year-olds. He was used to teaching in the university, people behaved, nobody did anything wrong, and so that he came in was used to being given that respect, and he would teach. However, when he walked into a room of 10-year-olds, you have to earn your respect, and he wasn't able to earn his respect. And so we treated him very, very badly and very shabbily, and I actually have tremendous remorse for the way we treated him. And one of the things that happened was, he gave us a test. And because he gave us a test, he wasn't really that strict about his test because he was used to university students that didn't cheat, that didn't do anything wrong. And then what happened was, as everybody started cheating off each other, they asked the fellow to go out and bring another copy of the test, and while he went out, they asked each other's questions, and it was an absolute pandemonium during that test. And at one point or another, I also decided to do something wrong, but not because I had to cheat on this test. I didn't have to cheat on this test. I knew the answers to the question of this test, but everybody was doing it, so because everybody was doing it, I got in on the action, and I also did it. Of all the people in the class, I got caught. And I remember I got caught, and then my parents found out about it, and it was a whole to-do. I don't even think I told my parents about it at the time, but many a times we've had children that do something wrong, and we say to them, why did you do this? Sometimes the answer is, I don't know, but often the answer is, everybody else was doing it. But the answer of everybody else was doing it is just not good enough. That's not a good answer. That really doesn't work. Because other people do it doesn't make it right. We know that, and we always say that to our children. And the problem is that even though we tell our children that, and we realize that is a wisdom for our children, we don't follow that wisdom ourselves so often. And that is something we need to learn. We need to learn that not only is it correct to tell our children, don't do something wrong just because everybody else in class is doing it. The Torah is talking to us. The Torah is talking to us as well and telling us, Lo sieh acharei rabim l'rois. Sometimes there's a movement where people are looking to demonize. People are looking to blacken someone's name. There's somebody that has an agenda, and slowly but surely that gathers a certain amount of momentum. And once it gathers momentum, it gets many, many more people behind it. And people don't even know why they're against it. They just realize everybody else is against it. It must be a good cause. And the Torah is telling us, Lo sieh acharei rabim l'rois. Don't follow blindly. Don't do something wrong just because everybody else is doing it. That's not a reason, and that's not an excuse. Think independently. Realize if something is wrong, then it's wrong. And even though everybody else is doing it, it's still wrong. You can't do what's wrong just because other people are doing it, just because it's become accepted. Acceptance is not good enough. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. Lo sieh acharei rabim l'rois. Don't be fooled. Don't follow the majority. Don't think that just because everybody else says it's okay, it's okay. If it's not okay, and you know it's not okay, then act that way and make sure you don't blindly follow the majority. Wishing you a very good Shabbos.